Welcome, everybody, to Taste Different Gaming News. What's on the news today? EA's laying off. All right. Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more layoffs. It was Microsoft, now Sony, and a few others, and now we're getting hit with EA confirming 670 layoffs. And breaking Pat's heart, they're canceling Star Wars The Mandalorian game. Sadness. The gaming giant behind FIFA, Battlefield, Need for Speed is considered one of the industry's biggest publishers. However, like everyone else, it's gone ahead and confirmed a new wave of layoffs today. Not that long ago, Microsoft laid off 1,900, Sony hit 900, and now EA was 670. EA broke the devastating news less than an hour ago of this article, confirming its restructuring plan. By the way, that is company bullshit word, restructuring. Sorry, Pat, had to throw a dirty word in there. The gaming giant is letting go of hundreds of developers. The publisher also carried out layoffs last year, adding up to an 11% reduction in the workforce since 2023. Meanwhile, EA outlined new goals for their investors, for its future. The gaming giant will rely on fewer licensed IPs. These include projects like last year's smash hit, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. However, already announced projects like Iron Man and Black Panther will not be impacted by this decision. Me and Pat will have a talk about that one in a second. Black Panther and Iron Man will not be impacted by the decision. Moving forward, this publisher hopes to focus on its own IPs, including the likes of Battlefield, many of which are expected to receive new entries soon. Elsewhere, other reports state that Respawn's unannounced first-person Star Wars shooter has been canceled, according to reliable sources. The shooter is based on The Mandalorian, and the gaming giant expects to have completed the restructuring by next quarter. That means more layoffs, probably. It also states that employees will be assisted in finding new roles as the company treats each person with care and respect. Why they tell them to get the hell out and pack their shit. All right. So, unfortunately, we are seeing more and more and more layoffs in the gaming world. And that sucks. The gaming world is my favorite place because the real world sucks, and I don't like it. I brought up, me and Pat will talk about it, and I think Nick would agree too. Doesn't it seem odd that already announced projects like Iron Man and Black Panther are being kept, while a game like Star Wars, an FPS Star Wars based on Mandalorian, is halted on because the trend of Marvel has really declined, especially in the video game world. And Star Wars is still hanging on, but Mandalorian is extremely popular. So that just seemed like an odd choice. I know this article and this talk should be primarily about the jobs lost, so that does break my heart. But that, to me, was very interesting, that they're going to continue to work on those two projects and canceling a Mandalorian first-person shooter. It just seems it seems like it's backwards, in my opinion. So, Nick, what do you think? Obviously the people being, let go sucks and it's heartbreaking. And it, obviously, EA is not going to get rid of a few big wigs to save a whole bunch of small ones. So what do you think, bud?
It's EA's just joining the other companies that are doing layoffs. We've talked about it before, just the market leveling itself back out. And again, like Microsoft, like Sony, like a lot of the other ones we've been seeing, EA is just the next one on the chopping block, right? As far as that goes. But EA, a a lot of these big developers or big publishers like EA, they want to stick with their their franchises, their existing IPs, and just milk the crap out of them, like their Battlefield and Need for Speed and whatever else. I mean, Iron Man and Black Panther are new, but I don't know. I agree with you, Shane. I think a Star Wars, like, I mean, they do have, Respawn does make Star Wars Jedi Survivor, right? And I had read somewhere that the third one was confirmed, which a new Jedi Survivor being confirmed by Respawn. But it would be cool to see Respawn do a Star Wars Mandalorian title. And so this really sucks to see that they're just going to do another Jedi game, right? It's like we've gotten plenty of those. Like even that I don't know if it was EA that it was going to do that bounty, the Boba Fett game, the Star Wars Bounty Hunter one. It wasn't called Bounty Hunters because that game exists, but the Boba Fett one that got announced like way long ago, and it got canceled as well. I don't know if that was EA publishing it or not, but EA does this a lot. They have the Star Wars franchise. I wish someone else had that, right? I wish EA didn't have a lot of the companies and a lot of the franchise IPs that they have, because they just don't know what to do with them, and they end up in the end just hurting those franchises and really just digging them into the ground, and it really sucks, because then we miss out on a lot of potentially great games and just get a bunch of repeats and stuff like that. So I don't know. EA is a horrible company, as well as, Ubisoft and Activision. You can just mix them all together in one big bowl of crap, and that's where they belong. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks for the people that have lost their job. Hopefully they'll be able to get back on their feet and find something new, a new job to go into. But, we've talked about this before. It's just the gaming market leveling out since COVID really spiked that the gaming market at that time, because people couldn't get out and do things. So yeah, it really sucks for the workers. But Pat, what do you think, buddy?
And you're thinking of the Star Wars like 2070 or 1313 or something.
Yeah,
that was LucasArts, and that game got canceled when Disney bought them out and everything.
Okay, so. Yeah, I couldn't remember who was doing
which
that.
was a dumbass move, because that game was so hyped.
It looked cool. Yeah, I don't know. From what I can tell, I mean, what I would think is happening is that those two games that are being kept in the loop are further along in development probably than the Mandalorian one, right? So it's easier. They can recognize revenue earlier in those games than they can in the Mandalorian. Well, that's the only thing I can think of, because I would assume that Star Wars is still a little bit more on the hot trend than Marvel is. Marvel's kind of been dying off, people seem to be over the superhero genre.
Yep.
So
yeah, the Marvel games have not done well recently. The only one that has done well is Spider-Man. Sorry guys, we hit a wave and Nick slid off to one side.
Nick's boat's rocking, he's on a cruise ship. Yeah. So he listed one side.
The waves came back the other way, so I came back in.
So yeah, unfortunately, EA I think is a bad company, and I wish that they would lose the license for Star Wars and somebody else would get the license. Because I want somebody else to do something with the license that has more freedom, has better ideas. EA is just not a good company, and I feel for the people who have lost their jobs, and I really do hope these big companies are doing something for these employees. And what I mean by that is I don't want to see a week or two's worth of paid severance. You better be doing something to hold these people. The entire industry is upended right now, and you need to make sure that you protect the people. Because there's no better way to spoil your name than to screw over the people who make your company what it is. The people, as much as it's a weird, vicious cycle, right? Gamers need something to play, but gamers wouldn't be gamers without developers. shareholders wouldn't have any damn money if it wasn't for the people developing the product. You know, a company is only as strong as its individual components, and people are a foundational part of the company. And when you don't treat them properly and you mishandle them, that's a telltale of how bad of a company you are. And unfortunately, it's really difficult for, I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it without sounding so callous and downtrodden on the human race. But at the same time, we're all guilty of this, is that people should be probably boycotting a company like EA that exists, but they don't, and we don't. Because everybody is guilty of this, myself included. We as a species or conglomeration of people, gamers in particular, have a short attention span. EA does something shitty one month. A few months later, it's been out of sight, out of mind, and they put out something and everybody's jumping on board to buy it instead of remembering how crappily they mishandled the situation. And everybody is guilty of this, myself included, and nobody's immune to it. I don't care what they say. You can say you boycott something, but unless you prove it with your wallet, then it really doesn't matter, right? I feel bad for those people. EA has always been on the top shit list of companies. If they do occasionally populate. I remember seeing these lists back in the day, worst gaming companies around, and EA was always number one. Yeah. And they've gotten a bad rap.
Not always the gaming industry, just as a company in general. They've had first place a few times.
Yeah. So
they're proud of their trophies.
It's a trophy they should not be proud of, right? It would be a trophy to be proud of if every company is amazing, including them, and they are just the worst in an amazing group of companies. But they are in the toilet of the worst companies. They treat their employees bad. They make bad decisions in the gaming market, and the only reason they survive is by swallowing up studios. And then when the times get tough, they shut down the studios so they can save money, and then they oust the people. And Embracer Group is following in their footsteps, because that's all Embracer Group is doing, is buying up companies and then shutting them down. And but Embracer Group is I would call Embracer Group more of an investment company, because that's what they are. They just buy up all these companies, pump some money into it, and then hopefully they can quick sell or short sell it down the road for more than what they bought it for after they pump some money into it and it's swollen and it's got a plethora of games out and it's doing better. That's what they are. And an investor company, I hate that there's investment companies out there like this. Like that's all they do is just buy stuff to pump money into it in the short term and raise its value and then sell it. I hate that. That's a horrible thing. It's like, I put that up there with like trading futures. Trading futures is a garbage thing. You want to trade in oil futures and you want to purchase 500,000 barrels of future. I'm putting that shit in your garage. And if it don't fit, I don't give a shit. That's how I feel about stupid stuff like that. That's the dumbest concept around, but it is what it is, and it exists and it's out there. But EA has just made a name for themselves. And unfortunately, them making bad decisions is going to continue to happen. Like, I'll be honest with you, I had no interest in the Iron Man game. I had a little bit of interest in the Black Panther game because some of the stuff I saw and heard was pretty cool. But I'm like, Iron Man, I love Iron Man. Iron Man is probably one of my favorite Marvel comics and characters. But I'm like, I don't need an Iron Man game. It's like, what am I going to do here? I'm over that. That's like, I'll buy it when it's $20 down the road. It's not a $70 game. I don't put it up there with, like, in the video game realm of Marvel. I don't put it as high as like Guardians of the Galaxy or Spider-Man or any of that stuff. I don't put it in that genre. Star Wars, on the other hand, I would put it in a higher bucket, but I'm more of I love Marvel and I love Star Wars, but at the same point, I think Star Wars is still on the hot track right now. Hotter than Marvel, I should say. It's not on the hot track, but it's still, Disney's kind of ramrodded too much garbage out from the Star Wars franchise. And so it's kind of just fizzled because of how much they pumped out. They had to try to make that $40 billion back any way they could, and they just flooded the market with too much junk. But I feel like Marvel has done way more, and everybody's kind of tired of the superhero genre. I mean, DC is struggling. Anything that comes out that's DC related is rough, even though some of the time it's good. It just can't get the viewers. And then the Marvel stuff is just kind of going downhill, James Gunn came in and was kind of really good with the Guardian stuff, and he's kind of saved that. And now DC's hoping that he can save them, but I think people are just over it now. So
saturation is a big.
It's just too much. People are over it. It's like the zombies. It's like when vampires was out, and everybody got so saturated with vampires, and everybody hated vampires, and then zombies came in, and zombies has reached that saturation point where I feel they're falling off now. People are like, I'm done with the zombie game. Give me something different. But EA, you better take care of them damn employees that you're letting go. Take care of them. Don't be the shitty company we know you are. Do better as a company. And then you got to cancel stuff. But I think you're canceling the wrong things. But time will tell, right? Time will tell. I would, the gaming industry is in trouble right now, and in trouble because the companies are trying to plan for the future that is leveled off after COVID, which we all knew was going to happen. They were all living like it's 2020, and now they're having to pay the price in 2023 and 2024 for not thinking with some foresight. And the people that are paying for it is not the people at the top and not the company. It's the people that built that company, the employees.
Yep, they pull out their backbones. Yep. But it sort of a good way for keeping Iron Man. They already made an Iron Man game called Anthem. So we know they could do the flying mechanics. That just the content's going to be the issue, I think.
It'll probably have just as much content as Anthem does as well.
That's what I'm thinking too.
It'll be Anthem reskinned.
Anthem reskinned.
Anthem reskinned with Iron Man. Which Iron Suit do you want? Do you want to play Gwyneth Paltrow as Rescue? You want to play Iron Man? You want to play Tony Stark as Iron Man? Do you want to play as Hulkbuster Iron Man? Which Iron Man do you want? Mark III, Mark whatever?
Yeah. Yep. You have to avenge Gwyneth Paltrow's death, but you're not going to try too hard, really. So.
Yeah.
But it sucks. It breaks my heart that people are losing their jobs because other people don't make right decisions. It really just chaps my butt that, the only people that never seem to get hurt are the investors because they don't do nothing. It's just free money for the most part. I hate investors. Sorry.
I mean, that's a bad way of putting that. Investors get hurt when they invest in a company that underperforms and the stock shrinks. So they lost money.
And it's usually their fault for demanding stupid shit. That's just my feeling. So,
I mean, everybody, you're an investor. Whether you think it or not, you're an investor.
Every investor should be a silent investor. A shut the hell up investor. That's just my opinion.
If you have enough stocks, every investor is a voter.
I don't get no input where my money goes when I give it to my wife. Why the hell should the investors?
You can if you voice enough of it and you stop giving her money, then you can voice it. But everybody is an investor that has a retirement plan. You're an investor.
I'm an investor. That's true. But I'm silent. I shut the hell up and hope for the best.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, they suffer when a company does bad, so they feel like they need to protect their money.
But at
the same time, I agree with you to some extent. To some extent. Company is owed to their investors. On a public company, a private company, they do whatever the hell they want with their own money, and more power to them. If you could stay private and make it to the size of EA's and Microsoft's and Sony's, then more power to you. But the problem is you're not going to. It's going to take you 10 times, if not 100 times longer to become the size of them by staying private.
No. They just need to shut the hell up because they ruin everything. But the one thing besides the pain of the employees, it did seem odd that the route they chose with the games to keep in process because it's Star Wars, especially Mandalorian, because Mandalorian, I believe, stayed really popular and consistent through the last 3 seasons. So it is kind of an odd choice. And Respawn is a great developer for that game. I think they could do a tremendous job. But it is what it is. So I don't know anything about the Black Panther game really, and not that I can remember. I love the character. Love the movie, the first one, not the second one. That was garbage. And then Iron Man it's a great character, and I can see a really interesting concept with it, but I don't know. I don't know when their due dates are going to be out, but hopefully not too soon, because we are oversaturated with superhero stuff, and I love superhero movies. I almost watched Madam Web, but I couldn't bring myself to it. I can't watch abortions, so this whole thing with these developers dropping people and then making terrible decisions drives me nuts. So, but we're gonna have to find out. But EA, as Pat has always said, is a place where developers go to die. And that's where your games go. They buy your game, they kill your game, and you never see it again. So, but you guys got anything else? I'm sad. All right, guys. Well, you made it to the end. Thanks for listening. What do you think? What do you think about EA making the choices that they did that that led to keeping Marvel games and not Star Wars games? That led to people being laid off. Whether or not they ever get their jobs back is beyond me. Pat said he hopes they take care of the employees, because EA is still a massive company. There's no reason they should not take good care of their employees while they help. They should help them transition and find new positions at other companies. Let us know what you think about all that. Also, make sure you hit those notifications. You hit that subscribe button. That's my favorite button in the world. Subscribe. And until next time, see ya.